In this reading plan, you will never get a shorter assignment than today's verses. There are only two of them. Here's how they read. At once the Spirit sent him out into the wilderness, and he was in the wilderness 40 days, being tempted by Satan. He was with the wild animals, and angels attended him. That's it. If you've previously read past these verses and quickly moved on to the next passage, I don't blame you. But today, I'd like to make sure you see where Jesus spent those 40 days. Just as important, I want you to see the connection between those 40 days that Jesus spent in the wilderness and those 40 years God's people once spent in a different wilderness not far from here. We'll need to use a map to get this done. First of all, Jesus was baptized by John in the Jordan River near Jericho. He was at that time very close to the Judean wilderness. We don't know for sure which direction Jesus went after his baptism, but this is the most logical choice. The Judean wilderness is about 40 miles long, and it spans the entire length of the Dead Sea. If a person wants to get lost for a while and not be bothered by other people, the wilderness is a great place to find solitude. The downside to the wilderness is there's almost no fresh water available there. There's no food. Fasting isn't an option here, it's a reality. There's almost nothing to eat and nothing to drink. It's a great place to hike if you're only going to be here for a few hours, but the idea of spending weeks in the wilderness, I cannot imagine it. And yet, one of the most important chapters in the big story of God's people comes in a different wilderness in the south. They were there in that wilderness for a full 40 years. Do you know the story? Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt on a miraculous night well over 3,000 years ago. The Passover meal retells that story every year for Jewish people around the world. After the escape from Egypt, Moses and his people were in the Sinai Peninsula, the Negev Desert, and the wilderness areas of modern-day Jordan. And they were there for 40 years. Life was very hard. An entire generation died and was buried in the rocky ground as this group of nomads traveled. It took a long time before God's people learned how to trust the God who kept them alive day by day. It took a very long time before they were ready to trust Moses and then Joshua. And I think it also took time for Moses and Joshua to learn how to lead the people. It was no accident that Jesus took exactly 40 days to get ready for his own ministry. Not only did he need the time to transition from his career as a carpenter to his calling as the Messiah, he also wanted to symbolically connect with the entire biblical story. That's why he spent one day in his wilderness for every 1 year the Israelites had been in their wilderness. God's people had come out of Egypt, out of slavery, into the promised land under the direction of Moses. And now, after his own time in the wilderness, Jesus would show God's people how to find the ultimate promised land. By following Jesus, people could escape their bondage not to Egypt, but to sin, and to discover the joy of being in a right relationship with God.